Valentine's Day, often associated with love, romance, and affection, has a dark and bloody history that dates back to ancient times. While today it is celebrated with heart-shaped chocolates, candlelit dinners, and heartfelt love notes, its origins are steeped in violence, martyrdom, and pagan traditions. The story of Valentine's Day is not as sweet as the modern holiday suggests. Instead, it is a tale of ancient Roman festivals, Christian persecution, and the brutal execution with saint whose true identity remains shrouded in mystery. The origins of Valentine's Day are believed to be linked to the ancient Roman festival of Lupercalia, a fertility celebration held annually on February 15th. Lupercalia was a pagan festival dedicated to Faunus, the Roman god of agriculture, and to Romulus and Remus, the legendary founders of Rome. The rituals of Lupercalia were anything but romantic by today's standards. It was a festival marked by animal sacrifices, drunken revelry, and bizarre fertility rites. Priests, known as Luperci, would sacrifice goats and dogs, smearing the animals' blood on their foreheads before wiping it away with wool soaked in milk. This act was believed to cleanse and purify the participants, ensuring fertility and prosperity in the coming year. Following the sacrificial rites, the Luperci would cut strips of the goat's hide, dip them in the sacrificed animal's blood, and run through the streets, slapping women and crops with the bloody strips. Women eagerly participated in this ritual, believing that being struck by these blood-soaked strips would increase their fertility. Another unsettling aspect of Lupercalia involved a matchmaking lottery, in which young men drew the names of women from a jar. The selected couples would then be paired for the duration of the festival, or sometimes for the entire year, often resulting in sexual relationships. These practices continued for centuries until Christianity spread across the Roman Empire and sought to replace pagan customs with Christian traditions. The name Valentine comes from one or more Christian martyrs who were executed by the Roman authorities. There are multiple accounts of Saint Valentine, and historians are uncertain if the stories refer to a single individual or several different martyrs with similar names. The most widely accepted legend states that Saint Valentine was a priest who lived during the reign of Emperor Claudius II in the 3rd century AD. Claudius, known as Claudius the Cruel, was engaged in numerous military campaigns and believed that unmarried men made better soldiers and those with wives and families. To strengthen his army, Claudius issued an edict forbidding young men from marrying. Valentine, a Christian priest, defied this decree by secretly performing marriage ceremonies for young couples in love. When his actions were discovered, he was arrested and brought before the emperor. Claudius initially took a liking to Valentine, but when the priest attempted to convert him to Christianity, the emperor became enraged and sentenced him to death. Valentine was brutally beaten, tortured, and eventually beheaded on February 14th, around the year 269 AD. Another version of the story claims that Valentine was imprisoned for helping persecuted Christians escape from Roman jails, where they were often tortured and executed. While awaiting execution, Valentine is said to have fallen in love with a jailer's daughter, who visited him in prison. Before his death, he allegedly wrote her a farewell letter signed "From your Valentine," a phrase that has endured through the centuries and remains associated with modern Valentine's Day messages. Whether or not this story is true, it adds an element of tragic romance to the dark history of Saint Valentine. In 496 AD, Pope Gelasius I officially declared February 14th as Saint Valentine's Day in an effort to Christianize the pagan festival of Lupercalia. However, despite the Church's efforts, many of the old traditions persisted in one form or another. Valentine's Day remained a day of love and fertility, though it gradually shed its violent and hedonistic roots over time. During the Middle Ages, Valentine's Day became further romanticized, particularly in Europe. The poet Geoffrey Chaucer played a significant role in linking the day with romantic love through his poem Parliament of Fowls, written in the 14th century. In it, he described February 14th as the day when birds choose their mates, reinforcing the idea of Valentine's Day as a celebration of love. Around the same time, the tradition of exchanging love notes and tokens of affection emerged, laying the groundwork for the modern customs of Valentine's Day. Despite its newfound association with romance, the day retained an air of darkness and mystery. Some medieval customs surrounding love and courtship were rather bizarre and unsettling. For example, in certain European traditions, young men and women would draw lots to determine their Valentine for the year, echoing the ancient Roman matchmaking practices. These pairings were sometimes symbolic, but in other cases, they led to genuine relationships and even marriages. As time passed, the commercialization of Valentine's Day overshadowed its bloody origins. The holiday gained popularity in the 18th and 19th centuries with the rise of printed valentines, and by the 20th century, greeting card companies, florists, and chocolate manufacturers capitalized on its romantic appeal. Today, Valentine's Day is a billion-dollar industry, with millions of people worldwide exchanging gifts and messages of love. However, beneath the surface of heart-shaped chocolates and red roses lies a history filled with violence, religious persecution, and eerie pagan rituals. Even in modern times, Valentine's Day has not been free from dark events. One of the most infamous occurrences linked to the holiday is the Saint Valentine's Day massacre, which took place on February 14, 1929, in Chicago. This brutal event was a result of gang warfare during the Prohibition era. The massacre saw 7 members of the North Side Gang, led by George Bugs Moran, gunned down by men posing as police officers, allegedly under orders from the infamous gangster Al Capone. The execution-style murder shocked the nation and reinforced the notion that Valentine's Day, despite its romantic facade, has long been associated with bloodshed. The holiday has also been linked to heartbreak, loneliness, and societal pressures. While many people enjoy the celebrations, others find it to be a painful reminder of lost love, loneliness, or unfulfilled expectations. The commercialization of Valentine's Day has created high expectations that can lead to disappointment, anxiety, and even financial strain for those who feel compelled to participate in extravagant displays of affection. In some parts of the world, Valentine's Day remains a controversial and even banned holiday. Certain religious and cultural groups view it as a corrupt, westernized event that promotes immorality and consumerism. Countries such as Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan have imposed restrictions on Valentine's Day celebrations, with authorities cracking down on public displays of affection, the sale of Valentine's-themed merchandise, and even the mention of the holiday in media. In these regions, Valentine's Day is seen as a foreign influence that threatens traditional values and religious beliefs. Ultimately, the history of Valentine's Day is far more complex and sinister than the modern celebrations suggest. What began as a violent pagan festival evolved into a day honoring a martyred saint and later became a global phenomenon driven by commercial interests. While today's Valentine's Day is synonymous with love and affection, its dark past serves as a reminder that beneath every tradition lies a history filled with secrets, sacrifices, and transformations. Whether one chooses to embrace the holiday's romantic side or reflect on its more macabre origins, there is no denying that Valentine's Day carries a legacy that is both fascinating and unsettling.